It was just another ordinary night on the streets of Atlanta, until everything changed. A young black woman was walking home after a late shift at work, tired but relieved her day was finally over. She wore a neat black suit, carried her purse, and minded her own business. But then, flashing red and blue lights cut across the street. A police cruiser pulled up, tires screeching, and 2 officers stepped out. Their eyes weren't friendly. They weren't curious. They were filled with suspicion. One of them, a tall white officer with a stern face, barked, "Hey, stop right there!" The woman froze. She hadn't broken any law, hadn't done anything. Wrong. She turned slowly, confusion in her eyes. "Is something wrong, officer?" she asked softly. But before she could finish, the officer rushed toward her. His hand gripped her arm tight, almost painfully, as if she was already guilty of some unspoken crime. "Don't play games with me," he growled. "What are you hiding? Where's the stolen property?" The woman's heart pounded. Stolen property. She had nothing except her purse and the stress of a long day. "Officer, I don't know what you're talking about. I just finished work. Please." But he didn't listen. He shoved her against the hood of the police car, his partner watching silently. Her voice cracked with fear. "You're hurting me." People on the sidewalk stopped, pulling out their phones. Someone whispered, "She didn't do anything." The crowd began to murmur, tension rising. The officer sneered, ignoring the stares. "We know your type," he hissed. "Always playing innocent, always hiding something." His words were soaked in prejudice, the kind that cuts deeper than any wound. The woman's eyes filled with tears, not just from the pain in her arm, but from the humiliation of being judged not for who she was, but for the color of her skin. But then, in the middle of that chaos, everything flipped. She looked straight at the officer, her voice trembling yet firm. "Do you even know who you're talking to?" The officer laughed cruelly. "Doesn't matter who you are. You're under suspicion." And in that moment, the woman reached into her jacket pocket, not for a weapon, not for anything illegal, but for the one thing that would silence the entire street. She pulled out a golden police badge, glinting under the streetlight. The crowd gasped. The officer froze, his face draining of color. She stared him dead in the eyes. "I'm Detective Harris, Atlanta PD." For a second, silence fell over the street. The same people who had been recording now shouted in outrage. "She's a cop? What the hell are you doing?" The officer's partner stepped back, shocked, unsure what to do. The tall officer stuttered. I didn't know." But his excuses were drowned out by the sound of the crowd. The phones captured everything, the assault, the words, the racism, and now the shocking reveal. Detective Harris stood tall, shaking but unbroken. She shoved the badge closer to his face. "You racially profiled me. You assaulted me. And now you'll answer for it." Her voice was calm, but the fury underneath shook everyone who heard it. The officer tried to regain control, muttering, Let's just forget this." But karma had already arrived. Within hours, the video spread across social media. Millions watched the clip of a racist officer assaulting an innocent black woman, only to realize she was a detective, one of their own. News outlets picked it up. The police department launched an immediate investigation. And that same officer, once so full of arrogance, now stood in front of his superiors, stripped of his badge and gun. But the story didn't end there. The pain Detective Harris carried went deeper than one night. She thought of the countless other innocent people who never had a badge to protect them, who couldn't reveal a hidden truth to escape injustice. Her experience became a symbol, a reminder that prejudice has consequences and that no one is above accountability. She spoke publicly, her voice strong. "I shouldn't have had to flash a badge to be treated with dignity. Every citizen deserves respect, The crowd cheered. Civil rights groups rallied behind her words. The city demanded change, demanded justice. The officer who once mocked her now lived with the permanent mark of disgrace. And Detective Harris? She turned her pain into power, becoming a leading voice against racism in law enforcement. And so, the lesson was clear. You never know who you're dealing with, and you never know when karma will strike. On that night, a racist officer tried to strip away a woman's dignity, but instead, he lost everything. Because when he saw her badge, the truth shattered his arrogance, and karma hit hard.